This morning, I recorded an audio in our WhatsApp space, Empowered Embodied Entrepreneurs. And I put so much heart into this audio, so much raw vulnerability of sharing something that happened a year ago on Friday, Black Friday last year. I'd been going through, in my inner reality, a little bit of a challenging time. So many doubts, worries about where my business was going, if it was really what I wanted to be doing, and I put so much into it. And I was really unsure. And then Black Friday, something shifted, and it felt like divine guidance. And as I was considering the subject matter for the podlet that's dropping tomorrow, as you're listening to this today, I knew instantly that this audio is so good, I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't drop it here as well. And it doesn't matter if you've already listened to it. It's one of these messages that you can listen to again and again. You could listen to it 10 times and hear it 10 different ways. Because I imbued it with the messaging that has changed everything for me, not just my business and my income. It's also with my capacity to acknowledge how valuable what I do is, to not seek external validation, and to be really solid in my belief in myself and my inner peace, which is so important as business owners. And I know sometimes on this journey it can be hard. Being an entrepreneur and a business owner is not the easiest path. And my intention with this audio, with all of the podlets, but this audio is a big one, is that not only do you feel less alone, you realize that if you're having challenging moments, you're not the only one. We all go through them, and you're going to be okay. This audio is going to remind you that what makes the difference is in those moments, most people, they contract. And it's going to take you through what to do so that you get different results. And that moments of doubt actually turn into transformation, where a new level of belief in yourself is birthed on the other side. My desire is for you to be insanely successful, whatever success is to you. And I know that you can. I know deep within me, whoever you are listening to this, you can have all the success you desire. There are only a few things that can get in your way. And when you have the courage to be present with these, you're going to do incredible things in this world. You probably already are. So in a moment, this 22-minute activation will begin. So enjoy the ride. And I invite you to come back to this again and again, and really feel the shift that happens within you as you allow yourself to recognize that it's not just others that get the success, it's also you. To really get the most out of this audio and to help it shift something within you, I invite you to come back to this multiple times over the coming days, and then come back to it in a few weeks or a few months and listen again. As I can guarantee that each time you do, you're going to hear something different or differently, because it's going to be based on where you are at in that moment, both internally and externally, in your business, in your income, and in your life. And sharing this audio, I'm coming in the energy of celebration, also with a lot of heart, and being very vulnerable, as I'm about to share some deep insights into things that have really shifted over the last 12 months. because this Friday, Black Friday, marks the anniversary for me of a really big shift happening internally and externally. Certain things which now, looking back in retrospect, feel as though they were divinely guided, certain things happened that led to a series of decisions on Black Friday that changed the trajectory of my future. On that Black Friday, something was birthed within me, the beginning of a new level of self-leadership and of leadership in my spaces, of showing up with a whole new level of confidence and conviction and in clarity in my messaging, showing up in my business in ways I hadn't before. Even though on a conscious level I've been showing up powerfully, it was now on an unconscious level, a level of frequency. And people in my audience and in the school really felt it. My income reached levels that I'd never seen before, where I had my highest cash month and then doubled that and then doubled that. I had my highest sales month and then quadrupled that only a few months later. And it had been something I'd been working towards on a conscious level, but now it was happening on an unconscious level, from a place of logic and inner safety. And so I want to take you on this journey to really understanding some of the pieces of the puzzle that fell into place and how this was possible and what ensued because of that, and also what was required to compound those shifts and those changes. Because what preceded this, and let me give you a little bit more context, because what preceded this was a period of doubt. What preceded it was a period of me not knowing what was going to happen the next year, not being sure if I was going to be successful, being really wavering in my belief, and in feeling that the end of an era was coming and not really knowing. I felt so unsure, not really knowing what that meant. And that was literally just what preceded that big shift. And the reason also I wanted to come in and share this audio is this year I'm celebrating my first ever 6-figure cash year. I had to take a moment there. And we launched a new product, a new membership system, something completely different. At the end of last year, we went into the pre-sale phase and we officially launched it at the beginning of this year. And we've closed close to 170,000 euros in sales so far. And saying those numbers out loud, there's this dual feeling within of it makes so much sense. And I know, not from a place of from a place of mind, from a place of inner knowing, I know it's just the beginning. I know I've only scratched the surface. I know there's so much more magic to come. And that's both exciting and normal. And at the same time, saying it out loud, I ask myself, is this really me? Because up until Black Friday, I decided on a conscious level that this is what I was creating. And yet unconsciously, there were still these beliefs that somebody like me couldn't create something like this. I'd see other people celebrating online their wins, celebrating what they were creating, celebrating high cash months or high cash years, or celebrating successes in their businesses. And I'd be so excited for them. I'd be like, thank you for showing me it's possible. Thank you for showing up so vulnerably and so honestly, so that I can also choose that for myself. And still at an unconscious level, I didn't think that that could be me. I was putting 6-figure salaries on a pedestal. And unconsciously, I can now see in retrospect, unconsciously, I was still believing that 6 figures and multiple 6 figures and way above and beyond was only available for people in corporate, in finance, in banking. Because I'd grown up in a reality where this is what I imagine was very normal for children in the 80s and 90s, that we grow up in a very abundant reality where everything I had was secondhand. Everything was hand-me-downs. We were counting the pennies. We were very mindful of where money went, as there wasn't any surplus. And there was an importance of focusing on the future and putting money to one side for the future and holding back and not having so many things in the present. There was always food on the table, a roof over my head, and clothes and love and all of those things. And I think for so many people who were born in the 80s, this was an abundant and normal way of living. And at the same time, there was a big gap between those of us who were living that reality and those for whom it was normal to be incredibly financially successful. And so on an unconscious level, there was a big gap for me on the level of my nervous system, on the level of identity and the belief systems. I would pedestal bigger salaries. That's for them, not me. And let me rewind a little bit more, because what preceded this profound shift and what seemed like a sudden quantum leap on surface level, what preceded this was doing the identity shifts, this consistently showing up and acknowledging where my identity was not aligned with the results I was calling in, where my belief systems and my nervous system automated responses were not aligned with what it was I was calling in. And I've been doing that work and doing that work and doing that work and compounding those small actions on a daily basis over time. So what looked like on the surface level was a sudden shift out of nowhere. It was actually something that I had been building and creating. And what happened on that Black Friday, what now looking at it seems like divine intervention, was everything that I had been doing had been compounding to that moment of me being ready to make decisions in the way that I did, me being ready to lead myself in the way that I did, and to shift within the perception that 100,000 euros plus was a big deal, and actually realizing that it's a small amount, that it's the beginning, that it's foundational. Now, for some of you listening to this, you're potentially going from a really well-paid job to building your own business. And so a six-figure salary may not feel like a big deal at all. Even a multiple six-figure salary, even a six-figure month might not feel like a big deal. And so for you, the shift is now knowing on a level of logic, of unconscious, of nervous system responses, that making six figures by your own hand, building your dreams, is possible for you. Shifting from thinking like somebody who works for someone else, where somebody else is taking the risk to bring the money in, where somebody else is making the high-end decisions at the top of the company and the corporation, where you have a really powerful, important role, and you're getting paid the salary. So it's actually shifting into the entrepreneurial way of thinking, of being the one who runs the risks, who makes the biggest decisions, who holds all of the things. And then there'll be others of you listening who may be like me. Maybe you've been running business for a while. Maybe you've been running your business on the side and working other jobs. And you've never lived a reality where big money has been part of it. And so for you, the shifts are also around this, of realizing what you're dreaming about now is actually quite small and logical, because we are living in a moment in time where we get to build businesses where multiple six figures is our baseline. On repeat, multiple six figures gets to be our baseline. And the thing is now I know this deep within me, and so I'm sharing this to you, with you, from that place of deep inner knowing, that when you are building a business, multiple six figures, millions even, gets to be normal for you. And to be able to reach that place and hold it and sustain it and then multiply it, it's way more than strategy. When you are consistently cleaning up the identity, the belief systems, and the nervous system responses to know what it is to think, feel, and move like a successful CEO and founder and owner of your own company, of your own empire, and you begin to shift your language. Those of you in the school, you know, I'm a stickler for language. I love language. Language is so powerful. Words are frequency and they carry a depth of meaning and story that we don't notice when we're saying them on a conscious level, the depth and the layers of story underneath what we are thinking and saying, that we are believing deep within us. And so language is everything. And for those of you in the school and joining the school, this is something that we delve into, that the power of just shifting, knowing how to shift your language. 1 word, 2 words, 3 words, and then compounding this, it changes the way you think, you feel, you move, you identify, and everything begins to change. Let me go back to that time before the shift, because I know this part of the story is really going to serve you. I find that when I'm listening to people who are ahead of me on the path and they share these vulnerable parts when they thought they weren't going to succeed, and they talk about what they then did and how it shifted everything, it continues to serve me so much. So my desire for you is that this part of the story also serve you greatly. So just before everything blew up, I felt as though what I was doing just wasn't going to work anymore. I had this inner voice. It was a combination of doubt and also inner knowing that I couldn't continue the way I was going and continue to have the success I desired, or compound the success I desired. I kind of knew it within myself, and it provoked so many doubts, such a feeling of not being sure of what was coming. Because for those of you who've been following my journey, you know that I went from not being able to put food on the table to doing all of this work to building a school where I was having consistent 5 to 7K cash months. And I was coming up to nearly 2 years of having opened the doors of the school, and this normality had compounded and had solidified for me. And yet within me, I knew that this feeling of unsureness is, this isn't going to work anymore. My inner voice knew it's just not going to work anymore. This isn't right anymore. And it was a really scary feeling, because I put so much heart into what I was doing, so much love into what I was doing, so many hours, so much energy, so much time, so much financial investment. And I didn't know what was coming. And I couldn't see that I was going to have money coming in. And I remember in the mornings, especially going back to the gratitude work, going back to the trust work, going back to the identity work and the belief work, and choosing to trust that I would be okay, choosing to know that I would find a way, and asking for guidance. And I can't remember how long it was that period of doubt lasted. It didn't feel great, but what I continued to do was lead myself. What I continued to do was invest emotionally, invest my focus, invest my energy. And then on Black Friday, I invested financially. And I made a really big investment financially. I decided in this moment of doubt where I couldn't see where money was coming in, I decided to make some big financial investments. I decided to assume I was going to be successful and that my success was inevitable. So to think, feel, act, and move as the version of me who knew that in a year's time I was going to have levels of success I could not imagine. And based on that, I said, well, knowing that, What is it I choose to do now? What is it I want to learn now? What's the education I choose? What's the support I choose? What are the upgrades in my business I now put in place? And so I started investing in different elements in my business as well to upgrade things. And we made big changes, a new product, new membership system, new platforms we were using, asking for feedback, asking questions to my current students. What can we do better? What's not working? What, if you could have things exactly how you wanted them, what would you wish we were doing? And how would you wish we were doing it? And I started to receive feedback and compile ideas. And that's when we launched a whole new membership system, a whole new product suite. Marketing differently, speaking to a different type of client, speaking to a different type of commitment. So right in the moment when most people would lean back, not knowing what was coming, unsure where money was coming in from, I do what you will hear so many people who are successful do. When most people lean back because they're not sure what's coming, people who are successful lean in. We look at the long term and we make decisions from that place. So I know there will be a lot in this audio that's going to serve you greatly. But, and you won't hear me say the word but often, why would you want to stop there? And this is one of the mindset pieces, the ways of thinking that successful people we do, is we don't stop at just having enough. We go all in. When we know something makes a difference for us, we don't ask ourselves, can I find the time for this? Can I afford this? We ask ourselves quantum questions. What are the things I choose right now that are going to serve me to move me to where I want to go? What is the support I choose for myself? How is it I choose to educate myself? What is it that makes logical sense right now based on where I'm going? And so on that note, this Black Friday, to celebrate a whole 12 months since this big shift happened, and to create a huge shift for you, so that in 12 months' time, you are going to be telling a similar story, where how you made a decision on Black Friday that changed the trajectory of your timeline, and that you are celebrating things you never thought were possible because of those decisions you made, because of the way you led yourself. And so this Black Friday, we have a deal on. And I'm going to present a deal for all different levels. So it doesn't matter what level you're ready to lean in at, there's going to be something for you. And to get access to knowing what this is, you need to be on the waiting list. You're going to have 72 hours to sign up to these offers. It's going to be everything from as low as 22 euros up to having the high-end things. And these are going to be things that shift everything for you, including the low ticket one, including the 22 euro one. To be able to know what these are and to assure that within that 72-hour period, you get the information, you do not miss out, and to be the first to know what the secret reveal is, our Black Friday secret reveal, you've got to get on the waiting list. On Tuesday, I'm going to drop the information of the first offer. And in that email, in fact, when you sign up to the list, go and check your emails, because you have the chance to access a free bonus training completely for free. So as soon as you sign up, head over to your emails, check your emails, and you'll find out how to access a free bonus training. This is, to date, our most popular audio training because of how powerful it is. And then on Tuesday, you will find out what that first offer is. You will be the first to know. And you're going to see this offer and be like, yes, this is for me. On Wednesday, we will drop the second offer. And on Thursday, we will drop the last offer. For each offer, you're going to have 72 hours to sign up. You get to choose what's for you, which might be all of it. Make sure you're on the list so you know what these are. I'll drop the link below. And if you have any questions, send me a DM.